Welcome to everyone to Sauce Time Gaming. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video once again, and we finally received the awaited update here regarding visual recoil that Raven had talked about a couple days before. We posted a video on what our thoughts were about which weapons were going to be adjusted or tweaked regarding visual recoil, and we finally received those updates today. So that's definitely what we're going to be checking out today. Let's go ahead and see these patch notes, and then I want to show you a sort of compare contrast between the clips that I got with the weapons before the update happened, and then show you what they look like today after the update already occurred. So we definitely have the playlist update here for January 12th. We have the game modes that are coming. We have the bug fixes that they got a ton, and they're still working on a lot more, especially for console players. We got the new Wellgun SMG that came out. And then we're talking about the adjustments, right? Assault Rifle Alpha, being the STG-44, had a visual recoil decrease. The Automaton had a recoil decreased overall, so the vertical part of it. And the deviation, which is the randomness within the pattern itself, has also been reduced. The AS44 had the initial kick reduced, which is great because that's pretty much what hindered the weapon most. And the recoil randomness as well was adjusted. The NZ-41 had a recoil randomness decreased as well, and sort of the ramp up. If you've used the NZ-41, it has close to no recoil for the first like 10 bullets maybe, and then it just goes crazy. Now they sort of increased that easy recoil part to one more bullet. And so we move into the attachment. So for the Cooper carbine, they adjusted the compressed rounds, so they gave it less visual recoil, and they adjusted the horizontal recoil control, so it doesn't give you as much control as before. The barrel for the STG-44 was adjusted to give you less visual recoil, which not always, but already makes that barrel pretty much the best. It was already the best, but now it makes it even better. The Cooper carbine had an adjustment to a barrel there, which we're not going to talk about that. We focus on recoil. The Bren received an adjustment to its barrel that everyone was using that had no damage drop off, and now it increases your damage range and it gives you less horizontal recoil control. So that's pretty much an adjustment and a nerf in a way. We also have the 50 round mags on the STG-44. The visual recoil was decreased on that, making it even more viable, which is kind of weird. We thought that they were going to be adjusting the ammunition type that had more damage to it because it had more kick to it as well. But it seems that they're adjusting the easy to use mags, so the STG is likely going to become a noob friendly weapon, even more so I think now. The Cooper carbine, an adjustment to the 45 to the .30 carbine 45 round mags. They decreased the horizontal recoil and the vertical recoil control, so that's pretty much a nerf on that ammunition specifically. The 40 round mags on the Bren also received they received a nerf. It is worded weird, but they received a nerf here. Now they don't control vertical and horizontal recoil as much. Moving into the muzzle attachments, the Mercury silencer and the MX silencer for the STG. That's the for the bar, I think, and received a good buff here with an increase in vertical and horizontal recoil, as well as the MX silencer receiving a horizontal recoil buff and a visual recoil decrease, which is also a buff. For the Automaton, they also buffed the Mercury silencer and the MX silencer, so that's great there. The rear grips for the STG, the pine tar grip and the rubber grip, both received a buff. On the Automaton, the polymer grip also received a buff by reducing the visual recoil to it. The stocks for the STG-44, the Krosnick S11S folding stock, they reduced the visual recoil on it, so that's a little bit of a buff. The Cooper carbine, the removed stock, received a nerf on horizontal and vertical recoil control, but it received a little bit of a buff on the visual side. And finally, we have the underbarrels, which they went ahead and touched the Carver foregrip and the M1941 on the STG-44, so they reduced visual recoil for both of those. the Carver foregrip, and the M1930 on the bar. The Carver foregrip now gives more recoil control vertically, and it gives less visual recoil. And the M1930, although it's not stated in the game, it seems to give vertical recoil control now. So that's something to keep in mind. Although again, it's not present in the stats. And then the Automaton received a ton of buffs on the Carver foregrip and the M1941 hand stop. So that's a buff across all those areas. So the question is or are these changes something that are going to influence the meta? In my opinion, I think they will. I think a lot of people still have to gravitate towards using the weapons and leveling them up to see if they are, a weapon that's comfortable for them. However, the buff to the STG is definitely going to bring it into the limelight here, and I think many more people are going to be taking advantage of the STG-44. The bar has had no recoil before. It doesn't have any recoil now, so I think the bar is definitely going to be something that's going to be more present. Exact got a video out where he's sort of promoting the bar, and that's also, I think, going to motivate some people to use it. So the STG-44, the bar, I think the AS44 is potentially going to be a weapon that's going to come out to play as well. In regards of the NZ-41, it's showing more potential. We're going to have to look into maybe the recoil breakdown episode for it and see if there is some sort of build that makes it viable for a longer range setup. It does have the burst barrel as well. So these are all things that we're going to have to see in time, but I do think that these changes are going to adjust the meta. I think the Bren is still going to be present, and I think people are still going to enjoy using it because it wasn't nerfed to the ground in any way or by any capacity. So that's definitely something that's going to be present, and I think that this gives you a great idea on what these changes did, and how these weapons now look in comparison to how their sort of visual recoil stood before. The Automaton could also be making its return. Now, with all the buffs it's received, I think it's going to be one of the best weapons to use at range. We'll have to test it and see how it actually feels in game, but these are just my thoughts. The Cooper Carbine as well, although it feels weak at range, maybe this change to the 45 round mag brings it to the loadout pools, but that is pretty much going to conclude today's video on the January 12th visual recoil updates, which ended up being way more than just visual recoil changes, right? But anyway, if you did reach this part of the video, I thank you truly for sticking around, and I want to encourage you to check out the recoil breakdown series, especially for the STG-44, as I'm pretty sure it's about to become one of the easiest weapons to use at range. As well as remember to let me know if you're interested in a specific weapon, and if we haven't broken it down in the series yet, we will get that one done first. If you're interested in the best Cooper Carbine build, then click on the video at the end to get everything you need to know about the build. Until the next one, have a fantastic rest of your day, and please always remember, Sauce Time Gaming.